Good evening, everybody. Welcome to BIBSTER'S Repair Shop, where I try and not die in the cold weather of my garage because it's currently 23 out here because I didn't get out here and turn the heat on earlier. Well, now that we know the rules and now that we know what we're going to kind of do, I've just been thinking all day and contemplating the science. And the science in tractor pulling seems to be a lot. I mean, there's this guy wrote this 40-page article on all the math equations on how it worked and how. I mean, obviously, I know the simple stuff of a higher hitch height is more of an advantage because it's going to pull down on the rear end more, which allows you to, especially if you got like those tractors that sit like that, it's got to pull that front end up, and the pulling the front end up. You got all that weight hanging way out there. It takes a lot of force. The closer you are to the rear end, which is this the fulcrum, the more force it takes to pull that front end up, the more weight gets put on your rear end, the more you can grip and rip and go. But there's a certain line of that because if you get too much, then your tractor's not going to be able to pull it. But and just thinking about how why that all is and what advantage why do you want to put your weight on the front? And I think majority of it is because you put your weight. It's that thought process. 100 pounds, depending on the track too, because some tracks, you're going to want it farther back, and some you're going to want to have it way out front, and way out front where the tires can grip and allow that weight to kind of keep the front end from going sky high and making your hitch height do nothing, and then you got it's bad times. We'll just say that. But obviously, it all comes also down to dirt, where depending on the dirt and whatever track you're at, because obviously in a perfect world, you just put all your weight right on the rear end and not care what the front end does, but the front end affects that and vice versa. This goes up. So I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about. So let me know. We'll start a discussion down in the comments tonight on tractor pulling and all of that, since that's kind of the next step we're going to. Also, so I'm going to do a couple of little things of this. I have never actually checked some of the simple tune-up stuff on it, so probably kind of look at that, see how that looks, points and all that fun stuff. And again, it's going to be kind of a rough video because I don't have a tripod, because my tripod's not in my buddy Derek's house when I filmed the video last week, so good idea there. All right, I'll bring you back when I'm looking at something else. All right, we're back, and with it being it's almost 30 degrees out here now. The phone is real thrilled. So I pulled apart the distributor. Sorry about that. And the points on this, it's hard to see them, are actually, there you go, in really good shape. But while I was doing this and pulling this all apart, I thought to myself, BIBSTER, how does a point system work exactly? What exactly, you've heard points and you've set points once in a while, but not that often. You're pretty bad at it. How's it work? So, I do what every red-blooded American man will do, and I Googled it. But, so I thought I'd kind of share with you because I thought it was kind of cool. So, in case you've never heard of how points work, here's the BIBSTER'S really quick until my phone dies, hopefully not very fast, method. That's how we'll finish this thing out because it is stupid cold. I hate winter so much. So, this is your coil, you call it here. This is your distributor. This is connected directly to your camshaft somehow. On a V8, on a Chevy, it's on the back. On the Ford, it's on the front. And there's a gear that drives this. And what it'll do is, see this little spinny deal here? When you turn the engine over, that will actually spin. Let's see if I can actually. This is not going to want to turn. No, so it's not going to turn. But if it would turn around this little. See how there's this hex shape that's 6-sided? If this is a 4-cylinder, this would be 4-sided because 4 cylinders. So what happens is you got your 12 volts from your key switch come through, and they call it, there's a primary and a secondary wiring. And it comes around the primary, and it's a big wires that are on the outside. And it's got a bunch of little wires on the inside. That's the secondary. We'll get to that in a minute. Goes through that, energizes that. It runs through here, this wire here, and 12 volts comes part of it comes to what you call your condenser here and to ground, and then the other side goes through your points and then it goes to ground. So this has got to make sure this thing is grounded. So that's, if you see how that all works. I think they're actually grounded. They're grounded to the case on this particular unit. So what happens is, as 12 volts is coming through, get this out of the way, sort of. You have 12 volts coming through, and it goes through your points, and if these are closed, like they are right now, it'll ground out through the case of this and be fine, nothing will happen. Well, when this lobe hits, this opens up. And when this opens up, which you will set this by this screw here, or this screw here, sorry, loosen this screw up to loosen the whole thing up. But you loosen the screw here and you can adjust it, and you want about 20 thousandths when this thing opens up between these two gaps. When that opens up, the 12 volts, because it was going through those points right there to ground, it can't go anywhere. The 12 volts sitting on this side, like, I want to do something, I can't. At the same time, it'll actually go into this condenser to protect the points from what's about to happen. And when that, basically, the power of electricity, so the 12 volts can't go through here, it goes to it will create an electromagnetic field in this, which energizes those smaller coils and takes 12 volts into 22,000 volts, or higher voltage, and that comes through this one here. At the same time, the voltage will come through this condenser, and that protects these points, helps these points last longer. When this dies, it'll make this not work anymore. So then when it closes, that thing stops electromagnetic itself, and it then goes back, and then the next time it opens up. So every time that thing so you now have 12 volts is coming, opening, this thing's opening and closing 6 times a revolution, like that. And every time it opens and closes, it's spinning what also goes on the top of here, and I got it right here. We're losing spark plugs. I only want to lose like one because gotta remember they go back, and I don't want to look it up in a book. Anyway, there's this rotor here, and this thing fits on there like that, and it spins around. And that thing, the center post here, power, that 20,000 volts from your coil is coming through this wire here and sitting right on the top of this. I'll demonstrate this way. And as this thing spins around, on the inside of this cap, as you'll hear them say, that's all the cool kids are saying. I'm gonna have to look this up. As it spins around the cap, see those deals right there? It gets close enough to one of those and it throws a spark through that out to your spark plugs. So it's very important on your that whole system working. And when these things work, they work great. There's a little more maintenance you got to once in a while. You'll have to clean and reset your points and check your points, but they're like $10 at a store. But you can also go. There's some fancier ways to do it, but this is just a simple kind of old school way to do it. It's much on newer vehicles. It's way different and way fancier, but. So every time the points move, and it corresponds, that opens up every time it's ready to fire here, and then it fires. And then there's all sorts of stuff with timing on. You can basically change in the stroke of the engine where that firing happens by loosening this bolt here and turning this to either advance the timing or slow down the timing. And that means advancing it sooner or later and how the piston's going up. Because if you go too early and the piston's still coming up and you fire too early, it's going to be as weird, like, oh. But at the same time, you don't want to wait till it comes you want it to be at the right time, because if you wait till it's halfway down, you're going to lose your compression. So you want to be at the optimal point where the piston's going to come up. But because knowing how fast these things are going up and down, even at 1,700 RPM, that's still quite a few times, you have to set the timing so it tells it to fire and that piston's just about ready to go, and so you can get the most out of that fire. So that's what you'll hear people talk about, like 50 degrees of timing and 35 degrees of timing and 4 degrees of timing and 10 degrees of timing. It all depends on how many degrees, like a circle, before this thing hits top dead center, that thing's going to go boom, boom. And if you go too early, it can be bad because, like I said, if the piston's still too far down in the hole, not all the way up, and it fires, it's going to rattle because it's not going to be able to. And if it goes too late, it can what they call detonate, where it'll basically fire like a diesel, and that's bad because that's an uncontrolled ignition thing, and that's just all sorts of bad things can happen. You can rattle your engine apart doing that. So timing's very important. So. Well, now we all learned something. We learned how points work tonight. I learned. You probably still should Google it because I probably was wrong somehow. But at least now you've watched this video, now you're intrigued enough to go to the Google. And then, again, tell me in the comments how completely wrong I was. I'm pretty sure I was. Don't worry, that's going to come off there soon, I think. But yeah, I was actually impressed. There's pretty good points on this thing. Like I said, I think the last guy that owned this had actually done a little bit of work on it. So we still need to come up with a better back bracket for this because it's still got the wiggles. So, and I want to figure out. Stop. It's getting worse. I also want to figure out a better hood prop. So, all right, that's enough for a lesson. It's still stupid cold out here, and I don't know. I might do one more thing tonight yet. We'll see. We'll bring you back. All right. Yep, that's enough for tonight. It is. It's too cold out here. It's just not fun. Hopefully, I'll try and get out here earlier in the night on the next one, and hopefully actually get some more video done. Or you won't see anything until there's not 18,000 inches of snow outside. I hate winter so much. I don't know. Maybe it's time for guitar content because that's inside. I would enjoy that better. Yeah. I think it's time for a theme song for this channel. So I think it's time for me to write one. Anyway, I'm going to take off. Check out Murphy's Law. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. Super cool guy from Australia. Definitely warmer than I am, so I like to watch his videos and just remember times when it wasn't cold. Someday we'll have those again. I'm not sure if we ever will. I think we're doomed to this. We're supposed to get more snow this week again. So, anyway. I hate weather. I hate it so much. Check out Murphy's Law channel. Super cool guy. If you like watching, if you like birds, he's got some awesome birds that we definitely do not have here in America. So it's always cool. And I don't know. I've always liked Australia. Maybe it goes back to when I was in second grade and I had that Australian teacher that may have told my parents that I should be on any drug they'd give me. And then the American teacher came back from being in Australia for half a year. Well, later I found out her kids were kind of wild and crazy, but she was like, "Oh, he's just the best." She was sadly mistaken. Anyway, so shout out to Murphy Law. Link in the description. Check his channel out. We'll see you guys in the next one. I promise some better content. Hopefully, I'll try and get down and get that tripod again. Probably I'll film another video working on the race car. So D-Rec, I'm coming your way when it's not negative 3,000 degrees. All right. I'll see you guys. Bye.